I need to do this live. Here's the problem. When I got this phone, I really wanted it now, and all they had in stock was like the 64 gigabytes. So like my phone is pretty much full. I'm trying to record, and though I only use my phone as a camera, I'm not that cool. I've got a few cameras, but it's just so much easier. So anyways, I'm getting a new phone like soon. Like my contract literally ends at the end of the month. So I'm gonna end up upgrading gigabytes, because even with like I have like 2 terabytes in iCloud, and it's still, yeah, not enough. So sorry for the outfit. I was wearing a logo that I won't be able to monetize, so I had to wear boring. Okay, anyways, we're gonna talk about something sad, so it doesn't matter. So the truth about Junko's dark past and her love for despair, where it all originated, it's a question that comes back really often, and an interesting one, which is why I'm doing this video right now, is Mikan versus Junko. Who would be the saddest? I would say they're both different. Junko... Sorry, I had a 20% warning. Anyways, I'm gonna try to be quick. Mikan definitely isn't as smart as Junko. Junko is really very intuitive, which is why, first of all, she was like the super high school level fashionista. It was her ability to be so intuitive that she would be able to predict trends, which is how she became the ultimate fashionista. She was also, I think it's a kaggle, it's called. That's the people that in Japan, you know, like you dye, like you bleach your hair, usually from like dark to really blonde, which is, you know, Junko doesn't have pink hair. It's just with the Danganronpa color shades, and if you bleach it, it could technically look like that if you use a good toner, I guess. But yeah, Junko is actually like the strawberry blonde, like the bleach. You know, if you have like dark hair and you just throw bleach on there, that's what it does, speaking from personal experience, unfortunately. So, am I actually live right now? Because I thought I scheduled it for later. It doesn't matter. so actually, Mukuro and Junko were at some point homeless in their childhood. They did not have a happy childhood. Their parents didn't really care for them either. And Junko, because she is extremely intuitive, even as a kid, she would feel like her existence was worthless. That because of her, because of her existence, her family was suffering. And I think it's an important message that even at a young age, it's important that, especially women, to like keep that in your head, is that child development is so important. And there are so many wink winks and, wink winks in Danganronpa like that, where you can just, there's so much that you can learn from it if you bother to just rewatch it. And just what you should learn from that is child development is so important just for normal brain development in general. Because what happened throughout the years was that because she was a neglected child, well, Mukuro learned to just survive. So which is why she's such a fighter, I guess. Like, she kicks butts. Anyways, which is why, like when they fight in the car with the little like pin, like she's just like blocking Junko, because she knows that Junko, all she wants is despair, and here she is. She's just blocking it because, she had to be like that her whole life. Like, she kind of learned to put up with things. So, protect herself, because her parents weren't there to do it for her. So, Junko on its own throughout the years, if I don't really know how to describe despair, besides I have an example, and I'm gonna put the trigger warning on it, ED related and all, eating, not the other one. as if when you're, if you know anyone who has suffered an eating disorder, like the feeling of starving, like that you're hungry, is the same feeling as like someone who doesn't have an eating disorder when like you're super hungry and like you have like a big pizza and a big meal and now like you feel like happy and full after. You start to get the same amount of joy from starving, which, you know, this whole concept is what applies to Junko. She didn't get much joy out of anything because she was literally, you know, the first years of her life were pretty much preset her brain into becoming like a depressed child at a young age. So that itself, the only thing that she was starting to get joy from was despair, because there was some kind of adrenaline of feeling of accomplishment, or like feeling like she just felt like she did something, I guess, which is pretty much the same as far as starving. It's like, if you think about it, that's kind of ridiculous. But I mean, when your chemicals are unbalanced, I mean, stuff happens. So as far as that, she was, what's his name? Was it, oh my god, I forgot his name. Why is this chat open? Somebody help. No. All messages are visible. I don't see them. What's the name of the guy? Let me check. I have it right in the back. Yazuki Matsuda. She was actually in a relationship with Yazuki at some point, and he is the only person she ever had feelings for, and similar for him. Like, their story was really, the thing with Danganronpa is you will hear a lot of the backstory because you need to do your character analysis, like a character sheet that we call, when you create anime characters or even just cosplaying or you're acting. It doesn't matter if it's mentioned throughout like a movie or a series or a game. You need to have those complete character sheets in order to really portray your character in like a constant way, I guess. So like you don't have any like contradiction that, like, let's say, oh, Kaede likes her favorite song is Claire de Lune, that's her favorite song to play. But then in like another like episode like 10, she's like, oh yeah, Flea Waltz is like my favorite thing to play. It's like, ah, sis, it don't add up. And when you rewatch it, you notice. But when you're building a game or you're building, you're making a series, it's the kind of stuff that you can forget. Like, it happens. So even when you cosplay, always create an entire character sheet. Even if the original one doesn't exist, just create your own. Create facts that don't really exist. At the end of the day, it's your character. Whether you're creating an anime character or a cosplay, really, character sheets are like everything. And don't lose it. Because if you're halfway through and you lose it, you're in trouble. So, on the character sheets of the Danganronpa characters, you will have like their orientation, you know, like if they're she, her, they, them, he, him, what they're into, male, female, pan, whatever. But it will not be mentioned throughout the game, nor the anime. You will have hints here and there, but they really leave it up to your imagination, for the main reason that a lot of the crew is actually, I believe, like LGBTQ. I really don't have any like specific details, and honestly, like, who cares? But they had to, a lot of them had to grow up with conservative parents and conservative families, and they do understand that their audience is at an age where you just don't know. You start to experiment at a certain age, and that it's normal to don't know. It's okay to don't know. Therefore, they just leave it up to your imagination. you are free to assume whatever you want, but they don't want to label the characters as, because they are like what, 17 years old. Like, even if you think you know, at 17 most people don't know. So it's like bold of you to assume that, I don't know, like Kaede's into chicks when, you know, she's 17. She doesn't know. So no, you're never going to hear like, what are you into, or what are you, they don't know, they're too young. So they've kind of been really careful about that, which is one of the cool thing about that anime, is that there is actually like no like romance that like happens. Like, if they were in a relationship before, they will still be in a relationship, but there's no like relationship that gets created like throughout the game, really. At least not that I recall. No, there isn't. Not really, no. I mean, there's like some like subtle like here and there, but like I said, it's not obvious. It's really up to you. So that, but Junko was actually in a relationship with that guy, which I believe, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but you can read about it, because if I talk about it, I'm gonna spoil a lot. And Junko really became obsessed. So she developed an OCD, so an obsessive compulsive disorder, along with personality disorder. My bad. So that's when you see like when she changes different sprites, actually is, you know, like the one with the crown, like where it's more like royal, like she really, that's when she thinks she's like full of herself, sort of, or that she's winning over people. She tends to imitate people as well, pick on their personality. The more intellectual one, the more calm one, the one that gets really mad. So that's why you really have like a character shift that is obvious throughout the game or throughout just the animation. And this is also why it kind of gets annoying, but they actually do that on purpose. Because, believe it or not, if you ever spoke to somebody who has like a personality disorder, the way that Junko has a personality disorder, they're actually, they get tired of hearing themselves. You know what I mean? Even if you have ADHD and you talk a lot, you get tired of hearing yourself. But it's just like diarrhea of the mouth, you know? If you have ADHD, you know what I'm talking about. That's why I live stream. So it's like a one-man show. I just talk the whole time. Can fill out like 8 hours, no problem. Yeah. And that's also why the sprites are so, like, I would say more intense, or why they're so, I would say, wilder than the other ones. But yeah, even Junko loved Mukuro. That is also another question that comes back often. She loves her twin sister. She loves her classmate from the 78 class, actually. That's why she actually saved it for like the actual Schlitten game, to not say the actual word, because the actual word is forbidden. So yes, she loved her classmate from the 78 class. She did not care about the classmates from the 77th class, which is why she decides to just brainwash them all at the same time. She's extremely persuasive. She's manipulative. She can make people do things for her without having to actually do it herself, and has the ability to just turn it against them. Just like, for example, it's you can play the victim all you want, but you were totally president of the Junko fan club like 20 minutes ago. So it's like, no, but you had me do it. It's like, yeah, but you did it. Like you were like down for it, you know? She does that. So yeah, all manipulative, and she wants to induce the entire world into despair. So why is that? It's because she knows nothing good but despair. The only thing that brought her joy in her life growing up as a child was the adrenaline and the joy, just the adrenaline that she would get from making people feel the pain that she was feeling. So if you look at the Mikan, for example, she was definitely, I don't know if I can say that, she was abused, okay? So you know, which is fairly obvious. But that she tends to have like behaviors in order to just please people, and because Junko is so persuasive, that's another word I can't pronounce. Like, she really has the ability to make people kind of like her or fall for her or fall in love with her. And because like Mikan is such like this little like vulnerable thing where she looks at her as like a goddess, literally. So she's not even in lust with her, she's just obsessed with her. Versus Junko, she's just obsessed with despair. She's not obsessed with anybody else. She's willing to induce despair onto anyone, even if she loves them deeply, like her sister or lover. But Mikan, on the other hand, is just looking for somebody to tell her you're a good girl, or you're doing a good job, or she's looking for somebody to tell her what to do. Junko is not looking for somebody to tell her what to do. And the other one is Mikan was just neglected. Junko was rejected. So just the two personalities are completely apart. So according to me, which is, it's really a personal opinion in that case, I feel like Junko is a much darker character than Mikan on its own. Just, you can be neglected, but that doesn't mean that it's just nobody cared enough for you, but you were free to just leave. In their case, Mukuro and Junko grew up in terrible conditions for children. And, obviously resulted in mental illness for Junko, which Mukuro can totally handle. She learned how to handle it, which is also like the fight that was in the car. That scene says a lot more than what people think. It's worth rewatching. And also, the main reason why at the beginning, I don't know, sorry, I'm just gonna redo my hair real quick. I don't know if you recall, at the beginning when like Junko enters, like she's at the train station, and she starts to like talk, and Makuro's like, "Hey Junko, what you up to?" She's like, "Duh, I'm doing the narration." Yeah, she likes to do the narration because of her personality disorder. So people who have a personality disorder will have a tendency of doing that. But also for her, it was to remember what her thoughts were, because she would also forget. So once you switch from one personality to another, some people will have a tendency of forgetting. Like their short-term memory, it just doesn't really carry on. It's not like the syndrome where you go from like one person to another, like you sleep in between, kind of. It's not that. It's just kind of, it's mixed with bipolar disorder and depression as well. So that you understand, like, mental illness in this case, or a disorder, it can be ADHD, it can be Asperger, autism, it can be OCD, depression, bipolar. It's all like chemical imbalance that can have a lot of similarities, and that usually, someone with ADHD will have a chemical imbalance that sometimes goes a little on like the Asperger or the OCD, but it's really just, they should just call it, according to me, of course, it's not a scientific fact, just a chemical imbalance with a tendency. Because you can have like bipolar, you can be a little ADHD and a little bit of all of the above. So obviously Junko's gonna show signs of having OCD or having a personality disorder, a bipolar, depression. She's gonna have signs, so there's no point arguing on what mental disorder does she have. We don't know. The story doesn't say. She probably didn't even get a diagnosis herself. Of course, if her parents didn't give two crap enough. So yeah, there is that. So where were we at with that? Did I cover? Yeah, I'm totally improvising over here. My Gmail notifications. Yeah, so yeah, just hoping. Oh crap, I'm gonna have to go, sorry. It's already this late. Yeah, I'm gonna go ride my bike now. I also got a new sewing stuff. Right now I'm getting like new camera equipment. I've just been going through a really tough time right now. Nothing to worry about, just boring stuff. Um, I'm working on making a new backdrop. I'm working on improving my website right now, and I will be putting a lot of character bases that you guys can use to create your own like original characters, because I've noticed like there's not that many body types. One cool thing about Danganronpa as well, like funny fact, is that it was like the first like anime that you could still qualify in, you know, the books as a manga for the Japanese style, but that still doesn't go against human realistic proportions, nor goes against manga proportions. So they really been able to find a middle in between, which is why at the beginning, if you have how's it called, hopes the first Danganronpa, whatever, you're gonna have, you know, like this, the characters are a little like thinner, but as you go like in V3, you notice that they're a little bit more curvy. They got hips, they got breasts and all. That's because they decided to go more on the realistic side as, you know, the character evolution goes on, which is actually a great thing, because in the cosplay community or the weeb community, it's kind of valorized to, you know, look like an anime character, which comes with, you know, the skinny standard, which I think Danganronpa really broke that stereotype for people my age. Because remember, like the first one came out in 2010. Some of you, I mean, probably don't even remember what happened in 2010. Or was it 2008 even? God. No, 2010, I think. Yeah, I was in high school. Yeah, my 2 last years of high school, I think. Yeah. I think I was 15. Yeah, I was 15. That's right, because that was 10 years anniversary this year. Damn, time flies. So, yeah, my age group, it was afterwards, I was just kind of glad, because there was actually like a lot of eating disorder in like my age group of the cosplay community, which afterwards, you know, like your mind is already set, but we were just so happy that like the people that are just like a couple years younger than us, that it might actually help to, hey, like you don't have to get skinny for that like convention, because the character actually looks like a human, you know? So there is that. So yeah, Danganronpa conclusion is like so underrated. And no, like normies took Flea Waltz. It wasn't the trending sounds on TikTok, and I got sick to my stomach. And don't think that it's new. Don't think that it's new. Freaking normies have been doing that for like 20 years, as far as I remember. The only difference is that back then you didn't get famous out of doing some like TikTok crap. You actually had to work for it, you know, like we used to look up to Emma Watson, you know, like Hermione Granger from Harry Potter. We used to look up to people that like actually did something, and they were actually good role models, you know. But now it's like how to be famous, like you can't even look up to those people because they got famous by accident. Like it's, you always like, oh, don't hate people, look up to people, like say, oh, I don't hate you, teach me how to be like you. Well, they can't teach you how to be like them. It happened by accident. It's like the only thing they can tell you is just keep making TikToks, use good lighting, trending sound, and post consistently. Yeah, no. So yeah, just normies take our stuff. What I say is just go comment one on the 37 so that we know we're there. And y'all absolutely I typed Flea Waltz in the YouTube search. There's not a single video that the comment section isn't invaded with guided comments. And I was like, this generation gives me hope in humanity. I love you guys. Like, I just thought that was funny. It's just, it was such a thing that like nobody really knew what it was when it came out, and now like for me to just see comment sections full of Danganronpa fans, it's just like, thank you. So I don't know when the next convention is, because we got the coronavirus going on still. But also I'm coming out with, oh, there you go. Hi. Now it's working because I scheduled it for later. I didn't want it to live stream now because my followers are online at 3 a.m. I don't know what time zone. It's really all over the place. I know that there's Mexico, so like if you're in Mexico, hola, and feliz Cinco de Mayo, I guess. Brazil. 10% warning. And I have to go, but next con, seriously, if it's like anywhere, like in, I mean, it's probably like somewhere in the US or like Southwest, you know, I will let you know. Go on my community section. I post a lot more, and most likely I started as a blogger, so I do write a lot, I do draw a lot, I do reply, like I answer to my emails if you have any questions. My website, you're gonna get all like the character bases and a bunch of stuff. I'm just currently building it right now. I'm having some issues with the web builder, but yeah, I'm gonna be making some merch. I'm gonna have like a little surprise for you, especially if you're like a trans LGBTQ community. A super cool surprise coming up. Cool project. Don't buy your binders yet. Just saying. Okay. So now I have to go because I need to go. I have a bike ride that I need to go run. Working on my Kaede cosplay still. Don't miss that because it's gonna be awesome. I am making a full lace wig for it, and gonna be great. I just got the contact lenses. Wonderful. You're gonna love it, I promise. If you don't like it, I mean, I like it, so whatever. And yeah, Junko posts on TikTok, y'all. I keep watching your videos, and not to be creepy or anything, I just like to watch it. I think it's kind of cool. So all right, thanks for watching, and remember that despair always win. Okay, bye.